Right, well, g'day and welcome back. So now that we have finished our mission up to the Hollow Halls up top here, near Nomad Highlands, it's time now to head on over to the Kindlewastes, Nomad Highlands, but we've got to check in with the collectors first. And there we go.
Beware of the darkness.
So the Kindlewastes Hollow Halls, and there it is. So we're going to head on over there right now. So one would possibly imagine that our best course of action would be to head towards the Sun Temple and go from there. So what we should be able to do at the very least from the Sun Temple here is actually gain some height and be up above where we need to be. Because a lot of the time getting to these Hollow Halls missions, the key is height. Because they have them all up very, very high. Look at where we are here. That may actually be it just in front of us there. Yep, that looks to be the place. So, oh, that was quite safe. We didn't even need updraft even for that, to be honest. Alright, there it is, piece of cake. We are now checking out the final Hollow Halls. Kindlewastes. We're looking on the map. We are right here. It's a little bit of a confusing one because where the question mark is quite far north, but it's actually down underneath a bit of a mountain. You can see above me there, it's kind of hidden, so it's a little bit tricky to find your way in to begin with. I do not know what to expect in here. Anything like the last one, it could be very, very difficult. As usual, what I'm going to be doing is doing all of the looting offline, so breaking down all the vases and whatnot. Only a few enemies in this first section here. It's not too bad, but one of the things you'll notice immediately is that they're level 20, so they've kicked it up a notch. So you better be prepared. So we've already gone through the first section here, and as usual there is a little room to loot. Find near these save points that there is a room to loot. Just quickly stop and repair. There's a repair point here. There's a ton of vases and whatnot around this section here. What I've done as well is I've gone through and updated my build and included ignited hammer now, and fix my skill tree up a bit so we've got a little bit more in impact. And I've already cleared out this first section here. As usual, there's a ton of vases along that sides there, and I've also gone through and done a bit of mining as well. There is a respawn point just here. There's quite a few enemies in this section here. There's a respawn point just there. Along this way here, nothing really exciting in terms of looting. There is a respawn point just here, and another respawn point just here. So, to be honest, you can pretty much ignore this side altogether, the far end from the entry. Where you really want to go is to the left-hand side here. Your best course of action is to double jump down to here, take out the respawn here, and the respawn here. Then take out the few guys that are going to be respawning from a little secret respawn point that's around the corner there. Once you've taken them out, proceed down to the next section here. There's a respawn just in there, and there, and there's also a hidden respawn. What was it? Just there. And that takes you down to the second door. Takes you down to the next door. This is of course a very fast walkthrough, but I just want to give you the general broad brush strokes of what's going on here. And you're down now into the next section. Alright, so as I expected, I did die once in here, which is a bit unfortunate. However, I really didn't do myself any favours in using what I should have, which is the skull summoning vessels. I came in here a little bit cavalier, to be honest. thought I'd cover it quite easily, but pop at least 2 or 3 skull summoning vessels if you've got them. It'll make it a lot easier. I've had a bit of a look around here, and on the left hand side, secret room here. Been able to find so far. So we've got a silver chest in here, which is pretty cool. Sun hammer, not too bad. I'll recycle it if I need space, as I usually do. So the main goal in here is to unlock that door that's in front of us there, which we've already done. What you've actually got to do is get your red scythe guys, the usual bad guys, and there's a few of them that you've got to knock over before you can get through into this next area here. As you'll see, we've been enshrouded through different times. So at this stage, I'd have to say you don't really need a increase in duration of shroud. I have 10 minutes anyway, so I'm not too concerned, but the next section, I guess time will tell. At this stage so far, we've been able to go sort of in and out. So what I'll do here is I'll loot this room, and then we'll head on into the next section and see what's on offer there. Alright, well, having had a quick look at the next little section, what you'll come across here is a whole lot of lava. So I think this is some sort of gliding puzzle. So we're just going to have a crack at it and see how we go. Oh Jesus. Oh Jesus. Whoa, that was scary. Alright, what do we got up here? Nothing by the look of it. Oh, a hidden room. And in here we have a silver chest. And we have a hidden room here. which has nothing except a depressed skeleton. Poor little guy. Look at him. Looks sad. Alright, so that looks like it for this area. That's where we came from, just to my left there. And it looks like we have another gliding puzzle. So this could be interesting. So just a couple of tips I would mention for down here. There is a respawn point here and a respawn point just up here. What I would do immediately is land at the far end of the platform down here. There'll be a host of skeleton enemies in here. Lots of red scythe bosses and lots of dogs. It's probably about 40 or 50 of them. What you need to do immediately is get rid of the respawns. So land at the far side, drag everybody down there, come up here, take down the respawn point just here, fly over to the one over this side, take it down. By this stage the enemies will be back onto you, and just kite backwards and forwards. Drag everybody down here and then out over here and then fly over into the center, and you'll see there is one trigger there, two triggers there to open this passage. By then you can drag all of the other skull enemies in here, take care of them, and the boss has to stay outside, and you can take him down, absolute piece of cake. Another one of the little points in this room here is if you continue on over the other side here and dig through this wall, you'll find a hidden room here with a silver chest. Support gloves for me. Random spawn. And there's also a chest, wooden chest there as well, which didn't have too much in it exciting. Alright, so just a quick note here, very similar to last time, you are able to respawn the boss. And something I noticed earlier, you can cheese him in this corner here. So if I attack him, I can cheese him into this corner, very similar to the other boss that was there a moment ago. I haven't looted the Hollow Cyclops yet. Now I have. So now that's despawned the corpse of the last one. And same as the last Hollow Cyclops, you can just get multiple hits on his knees and do more damage, or you can just do headshots. Alright, there we go. Piece of cake. So as you can see, we've now got 2 Hollow Cyclops heads. And there we go. Another one. And as I mentioned in my last video, the way to get the boss to respawn is basically just finish one of the sections and leave your game open, basically. The way that I found this initially was by going along and taking out all of the other enemies in the next section so I could record, and looting all of the vases and whatnot along the way so I could record as well. And then in waiting for my recordings to complete, takes 20 to 40 minutes, the boss respawns in that time. One of the other little hidden sections here in the save room, there is a hidden corridor here. Wooden chest. Alright, so in this next section here, there are a host of enemies that spawn from over there. There are no respawn points at the beginning here. So, coming through to the right hand side, there's a ton of looting to do here along the way, especially vases and whatnot. And as I mentioned many times before, you need to make sure that you loot everywhere you can in terms of chests. Coming down here, there's nothing too exciting in these little darkened ends. Not missing out on much. Down the end here, in the far room, there is a silver coffin, which for me has an awesome new weapon, sacrilegious steel sword. Cool. Now, for some reason these guys have respawned, probably because of the amount of time that I've been out of the room. There are 2 respawns in this room. There's one here, one here. Need to be taken care of before you can loot the silver chest. Takes care of this section. We're headed down now into our next area. Again, ton of looting to be done along the way. You're gonna need every single one of the giant bone arrows that you get from in here. So you'll go through absolutely loads of them. We began with, I think 700, and I think I've probably used about 250 already. So probably found about 200 so far, but I've gone through somewhere similar. Get up to the end here. Look up, you'll see a grapple point, and in here we have a silver chest. And now in the final room here, there's some floating skulls that will be guarding this room, about 4 or 5 of them, and there's about 4 or 5 that guard the first stairwell here into the mycelium stairwell area here. Then coming down into the next area here, you're in the shroud once again. There's a couple of coffins in here to loot. There will be a whole host of enemies in here. but they're pretty easy to take care of, just mostly skulls, not too many bosses. A whole host of vases to loot along the left and right hand side here. There'll be a large series of enemies in the last room here, but again they're quite easy to take care of. And before the main gate here, now this whole section is under the shroud as well, just so you're aware. Right, so our next section here, there is a red bug spawn directly in front of me there, and there's also one that spawns around the corner here, which is where we're headed to now. Now our goal here is to get up the stairs and up to the top. There are a couple of nice little loot spots along the way for urns, vases, whatever you want to call them. There's one especially there that's got about 8 or 9 in it. Up the top of the stairs here and in this room there'll be a host of enemies that spawn, including a couple of red scythe bosses. You need to take them down to get through this barrier here. There's a couple of coffins to loot in this room as well. Nothing too special. And again, there's a whole host of urns, vases, whatever along the way here to loot. Now we've got a section here that is a lot of grapple points and climbing. I'm not too phased right here about taking a shroud posting, because as you'll see here, just need a save point here, you're out of the shroud again. So once again we've got a save point here and a repair station as well. Now into the Alright, and now we are at an outside section and we have to glide. Alright, so due to a bit of a technical snafu, I have a tombstone up there which I can't get, but I've got most of what I want on me. So basically you come down from up there and it's a long corridor glide once again. So there's a room here with quite a few enemies in it, and you'll see just above my head there's a trigger. So after you've taken care of all of the enemies and unlocked this doorway here, you need to take care of those enemies to unlock the fragments for the doorway. You'll head outside here and up these stairs, similar to what you did before. And now we end up in a section with a lot of climbing, similar to what we had before near the save point. Also in this room there is a large respawn base which takes 2 hits with the iron axe to destroy, which you should do as soon as you enter the room. Alright. for now. Once we've made it across the gateway there. A couple of glide points to reach there, and one more climbing section here. And you'll see now we're out of the shroud. A couple of coffins here for looting. That's where we're going to head up in a second, where the save point is. But in the interim, what you're after here, there'll be one red side enemy here that you need to take care of, and that's it. He spawns just over here, right here. And there's a little bit of looting to be done in this room as well. But in this room, we've now reached the lore page, and as you'll see there, that's the final one. Hollow hidden crafting recipes if Mother was here. That's the final one. Alright, and if you recall the trigger that we pressed just before, it's the one that's just up there above the door. Now we're headed out to the save point here. None of the urns or vases, as you can see, they're now sort of old and mangly looking. None of them actually contain anything. There was 3 or 4 different spawns in this room of them, which I tested to see if they contained anything. None of them contained anything. So, and you'll see here I haven't done any looting in this room, and there's none actually in here. Now this next section here, I am not at all liking my chances of surviving. There's a lot of really tight turns. It's a really difficult gliding puzzle, but we'll give it a shot. And I'm not really sure how it's going to go if we actually die anywhere, because if we need to retrieve a tombstone, I've got a lot that I really can't afford to lose. I don't want to lose in the tombstone, like the giant bones and the hollow Cyclops head. Everything else I'm not overly concerned about. Probably the giant bone arrows would be the thing I'd least want to lose. Here we go. This is either going to be alright or really bad. Oh, lordy, that was scary. I nearly died about 5 times there. I don't think there's really an easy way to do that section. It's just get in there, hope for the best. Alright, so I'll loot this room and we'll be back with you in a second. Alright, so now we've done the loot in the final save point here. And final repair of equipment. It's time to head off into the next section. And the next section here is the main chamber. There's a little bit of looting to be done along the way here. Once again, we have a couple of coffins in here and a couple of vases as well. Now the next section, I've taken a small look in here already. I haven't done any recon on how to actually do it, so we're going to be winging it. What I did do so far, and it's a theory that I've used wherever possible throughout, is to try and look in terms of spawn points. So I did manage to get probably about half a dozen enemies that were sitting there spawned in that section in the center to come over and chase me over here. Usually the game sort of uses Points like this is trigger points. So the bosses won't trigger until you sort of come over that section there. And there'll be a host of other enemies that spawn with them. There are also a lot of those little flying moth things that are scattered throughout the place. What I'm going to try and do is find a place up high that I can cheese them from. Probably try... get up here maybe. This looks like a good spot. Try from here. And... throw out some skull summoning. And... stock up on everything. I won't need any lights. We'll need that. Alright, here we go. Doesn't look like at this stage there are any respawn points here. Alright, there it is. We've got one boss triggered. So whether this works as a cheese point for this boss or not is still to be decided. Looks like it's working so far. Those skull summons are an absolute lifesaver. Moving, mate. Right, one down. Right, so I've got no idea what the boss is doing, but if he wants to stay down there, that's fine. If I can cheese him from here, I'll be happy with that. I'll take him down to just before death. And get rid of all of the other enemies. So this would have been an absolute nightmare without those summoning vessels and the Necromancer skull summoning vessel. Yeah, so the boss died himself. Didn't even need to do much. Alright, well that was a bit of a non-event, but it's not over yet. We still have bosses over the other side. Alright, and that's the barrier unlocked. Fantastic. So we're going to need to make some space here. Right, well there is a bow on one of the bosses there, but I'm not really that concerned about it. In terms of looting anything else from here, I think we'll pretty much leave things the way they are. Get rid of a few of those. Now in terms of further loot in this area, there are a couple of little containers here which I'm not that concerned with right now. I will check out the area behind here, see if we've got anything. Looks like there is some kind of a room here. Oh, yep, look at that. Spellbinder boots. Nice. And in the far chamber here, on the right hand side as you're on the way out, there's another large chest in here as well. And one more time just to show you that Respawns are working on this also. You've got another 1, 2. And if we look in my inventory, I've got now 5 hollow Cyclops heads. So we'll see how this goes. See if we can trigger them to come over here. So this one looks like it's going to do what the other one did and go down the bottom. There we go, we found the point. All I needed to do was go down to the bottom level of this little layer that I'm on right now, and that enabled that. He triggered because we didn't actually have his trigger music, so he hadn't actually triggered. And as we saw before, the barrier is already unlocked. Excellent. There we go. Another 2 hollow Cyclops heads. Beautiful. So we do have another one of the minor bosses there triggered, but I couldn't be bothered. No real reason to stand around and wait. I just wanted to show that we could trigger the bosses once again, and that it was possible to do so. And there we go. That's it. So now we're back at the entry to the Hollow Halls once again. And you can loot in here once again if you feel like it from the beginning, but it's not really necessary because you could just enter through the front door and start looting in no time and then teleport back home. So what I'll do now is I'll just do a quick check-in on what we've actually got in terms of loot. So I don't really want that sun axe. So I did do a little bit of mining for ectoplasm crystals, so we've got quite a bit of that. I've got 100 ectoplasm fragments, 60 bone channel 2, which is fantastic, 53 lightning channel, which is great, and a lot of shroud meteor as well. Unfortunately, I only got 1 legendary, but that's fine. I really want to collect them anyway. So in terms of the giant bone arrows, as I mentioned, I bought somewhere between 500 or more in. So I've probably gone through somewhere between 250 to 500 of those. Probably gone through around about maybe 250 bone arrows as well. So it's lucky that I did all the looting that I did, because otherwise I'd be down to sort of 0 on them. And the same with the giant bone arrows. We pulled probably 150, maybe 200 iron arrows out, which is good. And I had no poison iron arrows when I came in also. We really didn't go through too many of our potions. Probably gained a few ice protections more than anything else. In terms of bosses, we got 7 hollow Cyclops heads, which is awesome. Fell Sicklescythe and 41 giant bones, so that's going to help us with doing giant bone arrows for farming for later on. So I think that's pretty much it really. As I said, there's a hell of a lot of loot you can pull out of these zones here, especially if you're a lower level person. You know, getting 20 experience scrolls is going to help you a hell of a lot, and if you can come in with a bunch of your friends and loot this zone, you'll have a heck of a good time in here. Alright, well, that's going to be it for us for this episode. Once again, I do thank you for watching. It's been a long episode once again, and we'll see you next time on Glitch Gaming.